Greetings, friends, and welcome back to the program. Before I begin, I would like to thank all of you who subscribed to the channel, who gave me a like and made a comment in the comment sections. It means the world to me. Thank you so much. I'm here with Marisol Mercado, a mental health coach and a counselor who is imparting her wisdom with us. Last time we talked about trauma happening in spiritual settings, and I've concluded with a Bible verse that it seemed that you liked, Marisol, and you put a label to that verse. Is in Philippians chapter 2, verse 3. Let me read it again so you can comment on it. Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves.
I love that verse in so many reasons. One of them is because I think it gives us the picture of an emotionally healthy person. It's a person that no longer performs for others and is able to be selfless. It doesn't give more than it needs to, right? But it gives from a place of authenticity. So it's not exhausting, and that person doesn't feel used and abused, but is being selfless. It also mentions in humility. And there is a difference between being humble and being humiliated. Humbleness is the ability to be okay with who you are, and no one can humiliate you with your permission. So I can be humble. You can scream at me in public, and I can say, Billy, I'm not going to, enter
In an
in
argument.
a screaming match, an
Mhm.
argument. We can talk about it later. I can walk away, and others will say he humiliated her in public. I said, no, he yelled at me, but being humiliated requires me to minimize myself and to make me believe that because you yelled, you were bigger and more powerful. When the reality is that the person that has self control is the one that really holds the power. So when you read that verse, I was fascinated with it because I think it's an invitation for us to re-examine our behaviors. When we do things, we say that we do it for the glory of God, but we're always looking around to see who thank us, to see who recognized us, to see who says, what a good job. This is the best program ever, right? And you see our need for for recognition. And I'm not saying that sometimes we all need, a positive feedback. We all need it, but it shouldn't be a constant need every step I make. It shouldn't be a craving every time I do something. I love that person. Cannot get over it.
You also said something really significant. It opened a lot of ideas in my mind. That is a description of a person that have been healed. So if you have been through a trauma and now you are healed, the wounds are still there, the scars can are witness to your trauma, but you are healed. And now you can exhibit an attitude that tells everyone, or rather everyone that can see it, that you are over that trauma.
I think also we want to say that we recover from trauma in layers. So there is a layer of awareness that I have about, ex trauma. And then I do my healing, I recover, my personality goes back to a place of peace, embracing others, embracing myself. I cope with my pain in healthy ways, and I'm able to move on but then I lost a significant person, or then I get married, or my spouse says that he's divorcing me, or a child, you know, says that they want to change their gender, something changes, and then maybe you will be able to go through that experience and handle it and get to the other side. But maybe another side of your old trauma comes up again, and you say, people sometimes get frustrated and they say, I thought I was done.
Mm.
And I said, we have been made after the image of God. We're like a diamond with many, many angles. We heal what is evident to us. We healed what you were willing to heal. And then after months, years, sometimes decades, something happened, and that other wound, that other side of that wound comes up, and we're able to heal that. It's a very amazing thing when we say that we have been made after the image of God. We're very complex beings, you know? And so I don't want people to think that healing it's a one it's a one done deal. I went to therapy. Yeah, we're done with that. I hope you are. But if you're not, be loving and kind to yourself to continue your journey, right? Because we're always evolving. That's the work of the Holy Spirit, also working in us, helping us to transform, to the image of God. That's a high calling.
Yes, it is. So while you were talking, Marisol, a Bible verse came to mind, and I would like to share it with you to see how you comment on it, because it's in harmony with what you've just said. If for certain physical diseases we get healed, that doesn't mean that disease will not come back to us. Every physical disease requires healing and then some sort of maintenance, that you have to take care of your body. You have to renounce certain foods, certain drinks, certain things, certain behaviors, certain habits in order to maintain that healthy lifestyle. So is with the mind and the heart. So the verse is in Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 9, and it sounds like this. The heart is deceitful above all things and beyond cure. Who can understand it? Now, I do understand that Prophet Jeremiah here is using a metaphor. It's part of a wider, poetry, but there is some truth in this, that the human heart, human mind, is so vast that you can't really comprehend it. And I do believe, as a Christian who believes in eternity, eternal life, that we will explore this for the rest of the eternity, our own minds.
We are responsible only for what is evident to us.
Mhm.
And so I think the challenge that we face as society is how little responsibility we have for our own misbehaviors. We're always making others guilty of how we feel or what they did, right? Or what they're not doing for us, right? And almost never we get the insight, we call it, the ability to see yourself, the ability and the courage to connect with your reality and say, that person did that to me again because I opened the door, and that person has that tendency, and I forgot and I engage and they did it to me again, right? But we always so comfortable being the victim, right? And blaming others. I like the concept of care, right? After you have recovered, care for our wounds, care for our healing so it can become every day more and more permanent. One of the things that I see people struggling the most, and it's one of the first things that I teach all my clients in coaching, is all the behaviors of self care. And self care is not for women, it's not about going to the hair salon and coloring your hair, it's not nails, it's not makeup. For guys, it's not the car, it's not the boat, but rather is all of those simple behaviors that we can adopt daily, that when I do them, I whisper to my soul, I am loved. I matter to me. It doesn't matter what happened today. I will not be alone. God is with me. And I always give my clients the example that almost every morning I walk outside barefoot. I come from the Caribbean. I need to feel the sun. I need to hear the birds. I need to feel the wet grass on my feet, right? I need to start the day in conversation with God and with myself. And so what happened is that, and I do other things, a part of my self-care. But what happened is that as the day moves forward, or life for that matter, if something goes wrong, if something hurts, if something cuts me off balance, I can go back to a place of self care in which I connected with God and I connected with myself. Why? Because no one is responsible for my well being. I could be married to the greatest mate in the world, but I cannot give another human the responsibility of my healing, the responsibility of my balance. And so self care becomes one of those basic principles that mostly women struggle with, right? And the second one that comes as part of that healing or care, after healing, is community.
Mm.
Is choosing the people that are in alignment with the work that you're doing. There will always be friends that are a little bit ahead or a little bit behind your process, but connecting with the people that support your spiritual and your emotional growth becomes a super important part of your development. I was sharing off the cameras something, an experience I had in a conversation with my mom. It was so sacred, it was so deep, that I did everything I could for me, but then I reached out to my community. I reached out to the nearest friends and I said, let me share with you. Do you have a minute? And I was crying at the moment. And that other person only heard me and said, I can see why you're in tears. I can see it, just sort of like created a space for me to be. He didn't tell me how to solve it, he didn't give me a recommendation or a Bible verse. It just accompanied me in my process. And then by the time that I was done explaining my experience and feeling her empathy, we were both done. Because what we need the most in relationships is connection, is presence, is unconditional love. And so that's one of the ways that we help ourselves and each other, to go through the complexities of this world.
I am a little bit confused
Mhm.
by the 2 points you've made. On one hand, I am responsible for my well being, inner well being, spiritual, emotional well being. On the other hand, the role of the community is quite significant. So, how can you put these two in harmony for somebody that is not really versed into these terms? If I'm responsible for my own happiness, why do I need other people?
Because we were made to connect with others. We cannot survive by ourselves. I am responsible for all my primary needs, but there is a space in my heart that I need to connect with the community, that I need to feel the hug and the support and the presence of another human being. I work with believers and people that don't believe in God. And so when I work with um, people that believe in God, I explain to them that if we were made after the image of God, God is Father, is Son, and is Holy Spirit, right? And so we are made with that need of connection.
Mm.
There is like a new, it's like a new wave around the world of, traveling solo and doing this life by myself. And I don't need anybody and I don't need to explain. I don't own an explanation to anybody. And I am me. And I say, yeah, let's see how long it lasts. Because I travel solo sometimes and I love it. But I don't travel solo all the time because I need that connection. I need, you cannot be a goofball by yourself. It's not fun. You need others. And so community sometimes will whisper, you know, the things that you have not remembered that that are true. Sometimes remember community holds you when you cannot walk anymore. And so I'm a big proponent of this dance between being independent in connection with God, but also being in community and in connection with them. Not that I will depend on them. I'm not going to make them responsible for my well being, but they give me a sense of connection, if that makes any sense.
It makes an absolute sense, and the word responsibility is key here. You have to take responsibility, meaning you are in charge of it. Nobody else has the duty to make you feel good. If they do, hallelujah. If they don't, no problem, no hard feelings, no love loss. Right. So let's move on in a little bit deeper into this topic. The need for community is one thing, dependency is another. People that are highly dependent on others are not happy, are they? I do believe that when coming to a church or to a spiritual community, to an environment where these high values are being talked about, are being taught, people come with a lot of expectations,
Mhm.
right? And what would you say to someone that is new in this experience and that they should not compromise on their expectations, but rather arrange them or organize them, order them in such a way that they will not leave disappointed? Because I'm talking to you, and what I had planned at the beginning of this program was is left behind because you opened a new perspective for me, and I'm happy. I am not saying Marisol is responsible for taking me away of my line of thoughts. No, Marisol made me think deeper, and I'm very grateful for that. I hope
Mm.
that this example put a smile on people's faces, and challenges you to give me a better explanation of this phenomenon.
I think my thought is going in 10,000 directions, and one of them is how much we putting in one group. Sometimes the expectations for love and connection are placed in one group, I think are inhumane and I think are illogical. But I think the church also has sold people the idea that we're all you would ever need. And I tell people that that's a bad way of promoting the product of church and Jesus.
Would you be okay with me saying it's dangerous,
Oh, it's unhealthy.
unhealthy?
It's
The
it's
better word.
dangerous. It's dangerous and it's unhealthy because when humans disappoint me, and they will disappoint me, if I have placed all my dependence on that group only, I will leave the church angry, disappointed, and feeling almost traumatized because I went there placing on them the expectations that they were going to give me something that I was not able to give myself.
Mhm.
So I want love and acceptance and encouragement and a sense of purpose, and it's all up to you. And then we don't connect with other communities. We don't have other hobbies. We don't have, friends from other denominations. We don't have friends from other places. And I think is the way that I live my life, I no longer do that. Not, I no longer do that because I have come to understanding that people in church are humans as I am. They're wrestling with things that have not been able to deal with like me, right? That they're emerging situations at a personal and family level that are affecting them, and they're still coping with it. They're still absorbing like me. So I don't put so I don't leave to church such a big responsibility. I've learned to diversify. I always tell my clients Wall Street went in bankruptcy, fail when investors put people's money only in one type of investment. But when Wall Street came apart, then investors says, well, then the trick here is to diversify, is to invest in different pockets. So this falls, we still have these other investors. And I look at it that way. I'm a painter, so I have a community in my gallery of friends that are into art. I sew, so I have another community of women that love sewing. I have another community of people my age that have raised their kids and they're adjusting to the empty nest. Yeah, because I don't think that is healthy. And I don't think that connecting only with one group is a fair deal for me or for them.
When you were describing the person going to church and placing expectations on others, the very text from Philippians came back to mind. And I say that is the best description of someone that is humiliating themselves by placing expectations on others, if you get my twist. So that is really humiliation, not humility, is humiliation of myself, saying I'm not capable, I'm not able to take responsibility of my own happiness, my own feelings, my faith. So I put that responsibility on others. That is, in my view, an example of how one can humiliate themselves by placing all the responsibility on others. Marisol.
Let me interrupt you. I know you have another question. Let me interrupt you because I think this might help a lot of people. I think sometimes one of the reasons why we play so much in one community is because it's only in church that provides us with a controlled environment where there is a sense of predictability and there's a set of rules that help me to feel secured, that everybody should behave and should do this in this way because I feel internally that I'm out of control. So I need to go to an environment that provides some control. And if there's no control, I will control it. So sometimes our alliances with churches come from our need of predictability and rigidity. And I want to add another thing to this. Sometimes when we exclusively attached to church, we get cut off from the realities of our communities, from the realities of the world. We say, the Lord is coming. He's coming, but not yet. There's
Mm.
still work to do. We still want to connect with other people. So sometimes people in church lose contact with the reality of communities, with the reality of people that are not vegetarian, with the reality of people that had to divorce, or the reality of people that have children in addiction, or the reality of families that have, a child that wants to change their gender, or addiction, alcoholism, or whatever it is. And so we create this bubble that becomes like the battle of the egos. Who has more? Who looks the best? But when we go home, we live in complete chaos.
Uh, Unfortunately, that is a true description of some communities.
Yeah. Not all.
No, 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 not at all. And I aim to build a community where all these things are being put in practice, and in humility, everybody regards everybody else above themselves, not superior, but
Mm.
worthy of love and worthy of respect. If that person went through a trauma, that's not something that should cause me to look down on them. That's something that should cause me to love them. So Marisol, in order to wrap up this episode, with you, it's always a challenge to keep it on the straight and narrow, but I love it, and I do believe that our viewers and listeners are loving it too. What would you say? Because you are a counselor, you are mental health coach. Yeah, give us the hope that we said there's always there. Healing is not only possible, healing is at hand. Healing is available, is plenty out there. And if you are confused in how to find it, please put your questions in the comments, and Marisol will make sure that we'll answer them. So, what hope there is for someone that has been disappointed, placing expectations on others, particularly in a church setting?
I think we always have to go back and revise, where do those expectations come from? What are the unmet needs that I'm still carrying? And sometimes we have to check at, how was our experience with our family of origin, right? That made me have such high expectations from others. But I think it would be important for people to understand that healing is a process. It's a very private process. Everybody does it differently. There's a different rhythm and speed, to it for each person. And we have to work with people that are in alignment with our values and our principles. And that sometimes we have to be patient. with ourselves, because it takes time. Just like when you injured, a knee, you can go to physical therapy, and maybe your neighbor had the same injury or similar, and it will recover in a different way. So, yes, it is possible. Yes, it will take time. Yes, it will take the appropriate person. And one of the things that I do as a mental health coach is to provide people with the skills, sometimes is the vocabulary, to understand what they're thinking and feeling, and to develop those skills that would help them to optimize their functioning. So, yes, it is possible, but we have to make the decision to start. If we don't make the decision to start and we stay just listening to podcasts and listen and reading books, it doesn't get to the next level, because this is a work that has to be done with other people.
I think this is crucial, and I'm just going to leave it there. As much as we are bombarded with do it yourself concepts, this
Mhm.
is not an area where you can do it yourself. Nobody did it, not even Jesus. Jesus has been in constant contact with the Father. And when he left, he said to his disciples, I'm not leaving you alone. I'm going to send you someone. Therefore, there is hope and there is help out there. Marisol, thank you so much for your insights. I'll see you next time to talk about this absolutely fascinating world of mental health healing and getting right with yourself, with your dear ones, with the community. And who knows, maybe that will prompt someone to get well with God, isn't it?
Yeah, anything is possible.
Until next time, you all stay blessed, stay healthy, and stay positive. Help is always available.